Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Success Studio Live. Um, the topic of our show today is it's pretty interesting, right? It's how do you measure success? I think that's so important because oftentimes we measure success by somebody else's standard or version of it, and we feel like we're failing. But the whole time we're actually giving ourselves the wrong measuring stick of what success actually looks like or feels like to us. So, who better to talk about this topic than the one and only Jenny Maxwell? And Jenny, how are you doing today, my friend? Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Tara, I'm so delighted to be back chatting with you. Feels like settling in for a good
Yay!
conversation.
Yes.
Um, to introduce myself, my name is Jenny Maxwell. I'm originally from Dublin in Ireland, and I currently live with my family in rainy Chicago. And I work as a personal development coach, and I help my clients out of the dreaded comfort zone by restoring their self-worth, because that's really what gets in the way of us taking that step towards something new, is if we don't really believe we are worthy of happiness or success, which we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
And that feeds into, that level of self-doubt and overthinking. And then here comes procrastination. So there's my little introduction, Tara. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day, and we've already got comments coming in. So, Gilles, my friend from the UK, originally from France, but now from the UK. Guys, where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? Let us know in the comments. We will put you on the screen so that we can have a conversation. But as we're talking as well, feel free to drop comments with things you might, found insightful from our conversation, or if you have a question for Jenny or myself of, how do we measure success,
Mm-hmm.
and what does success look like to us? But again, that's the topic for today. And we've got Paul as well. Hey, Paul, how are you doing? So, Jenny, before our show started, we have a little warm up, as I do with all of my guests, and we just kind of come together a few minutes before the show and talk about the title and what it means to us. And the title is, how do you measure success? But one of the ways I realize that I measure success is by being able to do something that I love, that I'm passionate about, that drives me, that gets me out of bed in the morning, that I feel purposeful doing. And I get to have fun doing it and putting my own signature on that. That to me is a version of success. I mean, I don't know how you define success for yourself, Jenny, but would you say that's a good valid version of success?
It's personal to everybody, right? I
Yep.
mean, and some days are better than others. And like personally, like as a mother, I measure success if everybody gets out the door on time in the morning, if I can get up at 5 a.m. and get myself to a class, if the dinner is on the table and it's actually successful, people want to eat it. And that's before I even start thinking about the other part of my life, which is to be a coach. I think one of the things that gets in the way of people experiencing success is that they're measuring it against other people, and they're stuck in this zone of comparison, and they're futurescaping all the time. They're thinking, if I can get that, I'll feel this. If I can get so many clients, then I can do that. And it's you're attaching a feeling to something that you have no measure of. So by dialing it back a moment and staying in the present and really looking at everything that went well in your day, it sounds very simple, but that's so much more motivating than what you think the outer game is worth. It's like start tapping into that inner game and ticking off at the end of the evening everything that went well. And honestly, I know this probably sounds so simple, but for some people who are experiencing self-doubt
Mm.
and fear of trying something new, it's actually a very powerful exercise. If you can lie in your bed at nighttime, and start ticking off all of the things that you did get done in the day. For some
Absolutely.
people, it's self-care. You know,
Yeah.
I've had clients who have lost all sense of themselves, and to be able to get in the shower and brush their teeth feels like a big win, because it's moving that needle 1% closer to where they want to be in their life.
Yes.
So that's how I measure it, versus, at the end of the day going, oh, I forgot to do this, or I should have done that. And you're then shaming yourself and you're feeling guilty because you haven't shown up in a way that you had hoped to, which is demotivating. Start looking for the win every step of the way, however great or small.
I agree. So well said. So profound. Having that, 10,000 foot view of things that you did right, not getting caught in the things that you did wrong, not focusing on what you don't want. I think that's a big one. And I feel like I was caught in that trap for a long time, Jenny, myself personally. I would focus on things I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can you believe what happened? I got more of it. Is that really incredible? Can you believe it?
Yes.
I got more of it.
I would believe it, because, you want to be the energy you wish to attract.
Yes.
So if you're stuck in that negativity of everything is going wrong, then guess what? You're right. And then you start to notice everything that's going wrong, because that's all that's on your radar. So how did you shift out of that?
Well, it took time, for me, it was self-improvement. So just like Paul is saying, Darren Hardy, by the way, he's one of my favorites. He wrote the book, the Compound Effect, one of my absolute favorites, which is, the 1% rule, do 1%, better every day. Right. So for me, it was just that, just like what Paul's saying here, and you intimated earlier, it was continuous self-improvement, but I didn't beat myself up if I didn't accomplish something. I stopped doing that. I also stopped listening to negativity, literally.
Mm-hmm.
No, I haven't watched the news. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell you what's going on. Sorry. But I don't watch the news anymore because it's negative. It drained my batteries. And I started paying attention to things that drain my batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing things that filled my battery. So I started implementing an exercise routine, started watching the amount of alcohol I consumed. Things that I noticed started to drain my batteries, right? Diet, exercise, being around specific people that drain your batteries. You have to put those boundaries up. And in some cases, you have to just get them out of your life if they are not suited you and to your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. But I used to be stuck in that trap, and then I started developing myself just a little bit every day. And that compound, the effect and the compound interest that it had was, in a year, you're a different person.
Yeah.
So true, right? Do you have anything that you do similar to that?
Well, I love everything that you've just described there. And when I'm working with people, we call this clearing the clutter. And people think that clutter is something that's, physical in their environment, and they're right. It can be in your wallet, it can be in your purse, it can be in your closet, in a drawer. I mean, we all feel great when we clear something out of the house, but it's also thoughts that are in our minds and people that we give our time and energy to. Now, I'm not an all or nothing approach kind of person, but I am a big believer in loosening the threads of anything or anybody who's keeping you stuck.
Yes.
And it could be somebody that you care very deeply for, or that you've known for a really long time. And when we know people a long time, we feel like we owe them something, I think. But not everybody's on a personal development journey. So when you learn to trade judgment for curiosity, it really gives way for empathy. You can recognize, what, they're not doing the work that I'm doing. So is it a realistic expectation that they're going to show up any differently than I know they're about to?
Right.
And from that place, you can make a decision. If that person calls you, or if in your calendar you notice, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to go and have lunch with this person. Ask yourself, do I have the energy for this?
Yes.
Because it's okay to say
Yeah.
no. And sometimes no just means not yet.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you can go another day when you feel like, all right, I have the energy. I'm going to set a healthy boundary here. I'm going to give it a window of time. I have to do this with some people that I care about. When I see the phone go, I'm like, oh dear, here they are. Do I have the energy for the venting and the ranting? Or would I rather give my energy to them another day? You know,
Yes.
so that's something that worked for me, is that realizing I didn't have to cut people out of my life unless they're super toxic. You
Yes.
know, that's totally different. But you can reset your boundaries at any time for anything, and letting go of whatever is keeping you stuck or keeping you feeling like small, that is always a good thing. Like, loosen those threads. That's certainly what worked for me. Clearing the clutter with food, movement,
Yeah.
activities, people, and the environment has been a game changer.
Absolutely. So it's all part of building success, and
Mm-hmm.
again, what that looks like to you. So, I challenge anybody watching this video right now to really get clear about what success looks like to them. And, the action steps, and you and I have talked about that, Jenny. The action steps can be daunting if you look at that end picture, but it's what action steps that are small that you could take today to get
Mm-hmm.
you a little closer to that, right? Again, it's not about a leap and a marathon. It's about just continuous effort. And I think that if just more people, practice consistency a little bit more, they would be a lot less disappointed, and ultimately they'd be more successful. I mean, you can't argue with that, right? If you're consistent when you work out, what's going to happen? The end result is you're going to be more in shape than if you were not, consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with eating healthy, same thing with practicing mindset, same thing with reading and knowledge. That consistent practice over time, it doesn't have to be huge. It just
Right.
has to be small and incremental, right?
Yes, I heard this expression. I remember thinking it was so cheesy at the time, and now I love it because I think of it often, that little hinges swing big doors.
Ooh, I like
And
that. I've never heard that.
it's so true. You know,
Oh,
it's
wow.
those small changes over time that really have the greatest impact. And the truth is, if you can like zoom out for a moment and consider that those big issues require little changes, because the little changes then take care of the big issues. It's like making a decision for yourself to, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym, even though I don't want to because I haven't been ever before, or I haven't been for a certain period of time, and I know it's going to be tough. So I'm just going to go in and take it slow and
Mhm.
modify everything so that I leave that space feeling successful. And when you're working with a good fitness instructor, like, I'm very selective about whose classes I take, because I have injuries, like many other people have injuries. And in the past, I would feel like I had to measure up against, whoever was beside me. If they're lifting heavier weights, then that's what I should be doing. Comparing myself to the person next to me, who, by the way, never cared what weight I was lifting. Like, they don't care. They're only focusing on themselves, which is what I really could have been doing too. And
Yeah.
instead, now I go in and I work out for me. And if I have pain, or if I need a modification, and I'm a fitness instructor and I do Pilates, but I'm not a Pilates instructor. So that's important to remember. And ask the question. And I'll say, hey, listen, I'm having lower back issues today. If there's anything, I just want to be on your radar. And then the trainer is like, of course, I'll give you a modification for bridging or whatever else. And then you leave that class feeling successful. You feel like, well, I belong in there, and I did a good job. And I feel like that worked for me. And that's all that counts. To feel successful in the moment at your level, wherever you're at, show
Mm.
up. Just show up and start. And,
Ooh, that
yeah,
was a
and
mic drop. That was a mic drop.
show up and start.
No,
Oh, which
at
one?
at your
Mm-hmm.
level. Again, that goes back to the comparing
Mm-hmm.
yourself to others, and all of these comparisons that are going around in our heads only. by the way, because just like you said, somebody at a gym is not paying attention to what you're doing. They're paying attention to what they're doing.
Yeah, it's so
So
true.
show up where you are, but show up, right?
Yeah, show up. I know. And
Yeah.
that comparison thing, like what if you could just look at it in a different way? So you're right where you are right now. And, you know, if you're whatever business that you're doing, whatever you're trying to achieve, but you're looking outwardly at somebody else who you believe is experiencing a greater level of success. And again, trade judgment for curiosity. Instead of beating yourself up for not being where you think they are, consider what you might learn from them if you simply paid attention. Well, what are they doing over there? I wonder if I asked them how they got to where they are, is there something I could avoid doing? Is there any mistakes maybe that I could avoid making by learning from this other person? Like what good thing might get to happen if I were to reach out and just ask some questions? So start looking at it in a different way. Instead of thinking like you're not where you're supposed to be, consider what you might learn from somebody else that appears to be doing really well, you know?
Well, you just tapped into something that I truly believe in, which is the power of collaboration over competition.
Yeah.
Guess what? Truly successful people don't work on the competitive scale. They work on the collaborative one.
Mm-hmm.
Because success is not built in silos. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. You have to collaborate with others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the knowledge share only makes you better.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I've never met a one player basketball team. Have you? Or a one player football team? Or
yes, Ronaldo. I often thought he should have been playing golf because he's not a team player. But yes, to your point, there's no
except for golf. Yeah,
except for golf. Right. Yeah. But, you know, it's so true that community over competition. And it really takes a willingness to set aside your own need to be in charge and to be right and to be the loudest voice in the room in order to feel seen and heard. And start tapping into, gosh, what good thing might get to happen if we could build something together, because together we rise. That's what I really like about LinkedIn. You know, building a sense of community and connecting with other people that you can learn from, and an opportunity to stretch and grow. And it's only a good thing. You're totally getting in your own way if you're focused on what you might lose by reaching out and connecting with someone. Start thinking about what you might gain.
Exactly. 100%. Again, stop thinking about what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it all goes back to that. Like energy attracts like energy. Guess what? Eventually, you're going to become successful. And eventually, you're going to be the best version of yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes consistent effort to get there. But every day, believe you're successful. Every day, believe start to believe it. And it'll come out and it'll start shining through, but you have to take those action steps. You have to, show up and be consistent. And you have to, do it incrementally, but you need to start believing it in yourself eventually. And that like energy will be attracted to you. I believe that.
Well,
it's so interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And what if you're a person out there listening right now that has made a decision in their minds that they want something else, that something needs to change? Congratulations. You have successfully decided something. And that is success.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like currently where I am. What would I like instead? Don't focus on the how, because as soon as you start thinking, it's like everybody that has a great idea and they go, it's all the way out there. You start stacking all of the obstacles on top of one another because you don't know the how part. And then you decide that's just too tough. I'm not going to do it. It seems too hard, and you let it go. But if you've made a decision that you are ready for something new, you're ready to make one small change today, that is success, because you're not the person that you were yesterday. You are a whole new you that's deciding something for themselves. It's on your terms. What you do with it is your choice.
Yes, I like that. You have to choose yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hard for
Choose
a lot of
yourself.
people. Me first, then others. Like
Yeah.
bumping yourself to the top of the priority list. That was hard for me.
Well, it's hard for most
Mm-hmm.
women, I feel like, especially if you're a mother, right? I
Yeah.
mean, things change. A lot of things shift when we become moms. It is what it is, but ultimately it goes back to that picture analogy, right? No matter how deep, how big the picture is, it has a point to where it, you know, it's empty. And no matter how many times you go like this, nothing will come out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't pour out of an empty pitcher, no matter how big it is. If it's empty, there's nothing left to give to anybody else. You have to, again, recharge your own batteries first. A lot of the times, and not make apology out of that, right? Don't you think,
Yeah.
Jenny? I think we apologize too much. Don't you think?
Yeah, I know. But nobody's even asked us. I think, after I had my first kid, I think the first feeling I had was guilt. I don't know. It's like I wish somebody had written a book so I knew how guilty I would feel for the rest of my life. you know,
That's your book. You need to write it. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And another book, whatever you're expecting when you're expecting, don't expect it because it's not going to work out the way you thought. Like it's just like it isn't what you think it's going to be. And when you're comparing yourself to another person who has kids already or been down this road or doesn't, just forget about it. You'll be stuck in this zone of I'm not enough. And
Mm,
it's a lousy zone to be in, and it's completely demoralizing, and it is the opposite of what most of us want to be experiencing. And that's actually a quick mindset shift for anybody who's interested in it. Whatever you're feeling at any given moment in the day, whatever it is, if you can just slow down for a moment and recognize I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, whatever it is, recognize that feeling and ask yourself, well, what would I like instead? Well, if I'm stressed, I'd like to feel calm. And then start thinking about what do I know is possible for me to do in this moment to experience calm, whatever it is. Make yourself a cup of tea, have a glass of water, make yourself something to eat, sit down and close your eyes, do some mindful breathing, get out for a walk. That quick mindset shift will really help you
yeah.
move from whatever you're experiencing in that moment into what you would like instead. And then you can tap yourself on the back later on and say, hey, I successfully shifted out of that zone of stuckness, and I did it all by myself. And if I could do it then, I can do it again, and I can do it every moment of every day. See,
I
it's like
love
it's
that.
all simple, but it'll help you feel successful.
Yeah. Well, the correct answer is never the complicated one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's always
I
something
think we
simple.
can agree on that. If
Mm-hmm.
if somebody makes a solution too complicated, it's not the solution. The solution is always the simplest route, and it starts with your mindset. I think you
Mm-hmm.
hit on something very powerful right there. Again, we attract what we think about. We attract who we are, right? We
Mm-hmm.
attract who we surround ourselves with. The energy that's in our minds with our thought patterns translates into physical action, and our environment has a big part to do with that. So changing your environment can actually be one of the best and biggest benefits to changing your mindset. And you also hit on something, just going for a walk in nature. That's one of my secrets. Or go to the gym and exercising. I'm a naturally anxious person anyway, I feel sometimes I just have a lot of energy. If I don't go to the gym, I can feel it.
Mm.
I can feel that energy, and I start to get stressed, and I'm like, I'm not even doing anything. But I can start to feel it bubble up. I go to the gym, I work out, guess what? That feeling's gone. It wasn't that anything was necessarily causing it. Maybe it was, but maybe just changing my environment and doing something beneficial, for my body, right? To release it, give it a release. It's a huge game changer, don't you think?
I do. I would be so curious about something because I had this conversation recently with somebody who had said to me, I don't think I'm stressed.
That person's stressed.
Well, I was so curious. I don't think I'm stressed. I mean, I know I'm doing a lot, but I don't think I'm stressed.
Yeah.
And even though you're physically not doing a lot, like, well, you're a creative person, Tara.
Yes.
I imagine your brain is like all day
All
with
day.
ideas, right?
I can't stop it.
And possibly that stress or anxiety is actually super excitement at the
Yes.
possibilities. And I would love to know if you had ever considered that going to the gym, the only thing, this is what I love about going to Pilates, like I cannot think of a single other thing because I do not want to die on that reformer. So the only thing I can do is be focused
Yes.
for 50 minutes of the day. It's that mind-body connection. Now, when I go for a walk, my mind wanders, but I try not to listen to anything. I'm trying not to listen to music or podcasts or anything, just nature. And I really try and focus on the sounds around me, whatever they are. But in the gym, it's that mind-body connection. It's giving your head peace. Now, you can also have that experience if you decide to do mindful breathing. 10 long, slow, deep breaths. That is 2 minutes to calm. So if you're stuck in the zone of, I feel stressed, maybe it's excitement, how can I slow it all down in my brain? A simple, free, quick tool is to spend 2 minutes focusing in on your breath and noticing any areas in your body that might be calling for attention, that might be calling for nourishment. And give your head some peace. And if your brain starts to wander and think about the next thing, just rein it in and slow it all down. But I wonder, do you think that's true for you, that you're
100%. Yes. It's like you
I
live
cracked your code.
You just know me so well. I know. Get out of my head, Jenny. Get out of here. Absolutely 100%. I'm very excited person. I have so many ideas every single day that I just want to burst, right? So it's hard for me to sometimes reel it all in. But for me, it's just exercise and physical activity, like you said, the mind body connection. Guess what? There's nothing else I can actually do on the stair climber, so I go on the stair climber. The more anxious I feel, I tend to gravitate towards something like the stair climber because I'm contained. I just have to just beat it out, and you know what? I feel so good afterwards. I feel successful, right?
I'm contained.
I'm
Tara,
contained.
that's your next live stream, is Tara contained. You're gonna have to do it on the stair climber. You'll be like, oh, there she is. She's contained. She looks super calm.
Oh yeah, I'll be holding up my phone, just barely being able to breathe, just sweat.
Right? Yeah. And you know something. This is probably gonna create, I don't know, maybe people won't agree with me on this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sometimes noticing sabotage can feel like success. How are we getting in our own way?
Ooh, that's
right? How are we getting in our own way? Well, I didn't go to the gym, or I ate something that I knew wouldn't make me feel good afterwards, or I engaged in negative self-talk or gossip or whatever the case may be, or I binge watched some show when I could have been doing something else, and really pay attention to that.
Yes.
No, because sabotage is a really good thing when you notice it.
Yes.
Because in that moment, it's an opportunity to ask yourself, what would I like instead? Or, if I could go back and have a redo, what might I have done differently? Maybe I wouldn't have taken that call. Maybe I would have, set myself up for success and gotten myself out the door on time to go for a walk or go meet a good friend, or whatever the case may be. Like where sabotage shows up, it's a really great opportunity for change, because sabotage is it's just our bodies and our minds letting us know what we don't want anymore. When we're on that hamster wheel of same food, same emotion, same routine, same result. You're doing the same thing you did yesterday, but you're wanting something different. What might need to change? What's one small thing that could be adjusted? And by trading judgment for curiosity on yourself, be gentle.
Yeah.
Right? We're a work in progress, and we're playing the long game here when it comes to our health, our mental and physical health. We're playing the long game. Same in business, we're playing the long game. There's no fast track option here, especially if you're an entrepreneur. It's slow, steady steps consistently. It's showing up every day through action steps and, changing how you're looking at something and collaborating and all that good stuff. But to look within and be really gentle with yourself and speak to yourself like you would a very good friend instead of beating yourself up. There, I got in my own way yesterday. Oh, what was missing? Oh, if I could go back and have a redo, this is what I would do instead. And it's a much gentler approach than shaming yourself for not doing something the way you'd hoped. So I happen to love when sabotage shows up. I'm like, there it goes.
Oh, there's the old me again.
What was missing? Yep. What was missing? Because we're a work in progress,
Absolutely. None of us are perfect, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So we're all a work in progress. It's just about that steady effort to a better you. That's what gets success. That's what creates more success. Mm-hmm. Steady, consistent effort every single day. But Jenny, thank you so much for being on my show today. You are just a light, so awesome, so wise, and such an awesome package. I just love working with you, Jenny. But thank you also for everybody that tuned in today and watched our show. I hope you found it valuable and took away some really good insights. The keys that I picked up are success does not look the same for everybody. So start getting really clear about what success means to you and start taking small action steps every day to get there. But just know that it's possible. And with the right mindset, anything can happen. Anything can be achieved. So just keep that in mind, but make those small, steady, consistent efforts every day, and you'll get to exactly where you need to be. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you on the next episode.